Hey guys, this is the gear for today. I've got a Zenith Boar brush, Wolfman WR1 46 gap, so I don't drop it and get it out of my hands there. Hub City Soap Company, Pages scent. Big fan of this scent and the soap's performance. And I'm going to try a brand new Wizamet Iridium Super. It also says extra stainless. Iridium Super Extra Stainless. Some people say these are the same thing as the Pole Silver Iridiums, and it may be true that I like them kind of similarly to how I like the Pole Silvers, but they may be different. But I mean, does it really matter? Because as long as it does well, I didn't really. I think we have seen how the Pole Silvers have really backed off in the retail market. And so finally, after many attempts at becoming discontinued and many rumors, this is what these Super Iridiums look like. Maybe the Pole Silvers finally have become discontinued. And I can see that happening in the reason it kind of came and it was a myth, then it came back a few times, is because I bet they quit making them at some point, but they just had tons. And so it was kind of true and false at the same time. You still had plenty of stock available, but they were no longer, they had in effect been discontinued. Now I am not really affected by the Pole Silvers being gone, because there's just so many other good blades that work really well for me, and so I wasn't really crying too much. I did learn to like them. They didn't work well for me when I was a young shaver. They just didn't immediately work well for me. But when my technique improved, they became a favorite. So this is the, oh, you know what? Did I show you kind of what the blade looks like? It pretty much looks like a Pole Silver. It says the same stuff. Super Iridium and then extra stainless. And on this other side, it, I believe, says the same thing. This is not my marathon blade. I've taken the other one to, 16 uses or so, and I wanted to unpack another one to be able to use for testing purposes, because this razor seems to be right on the verge there of being negative. It could even be negative exposure. It might be that. And so if it gets to be to that mild extreme, it's possible that the blade choice really could matter quite a bit. And also the sharpness of a blade could be very important with it, because if the blade edge is just right on the edge of working well and not working, which I think many mild razors might put it there. A smoothed out blade with 15 uses may not work the same way at all as one where maybe this razor needs it always to be within 3 uses. And some people wouldn't consider that abnormal at all. That's when they pitch their blades anyway. But for me, I usually go farther. I'm going to rinse my face now. All right, so here is Pages. I've used it, I guess, just once before. Oh man, that's good stuff. Where does that kind of there's an interesting scent there that I guess it's just a mix of the leather and the woods, and a little bit of the dark musk, and then the amyris maybe. All right, let's load it up, and I think we'll just do a 20-second load. I've got my Zenith Boar brush, that is the B10, I'm pretty sure, or B2. You'll have to look at the description of the video and that to be sure. It's just been too long since I've used it. Pretty sure it's the B10. Very cheap and expensive brush, plastic handle, but the knot is not cheap, meaning it's quality. It feels so great. I really enjoy it. I did have to file down these 2 ridges that were right here because I found them quite annoying. And let's do that 20-second load, starting at 50. So we'll go to the 10 mark. This brush is in my Boar-a-thon rotation, kind of what I've started calling it. I am growing up a slew of boar brushes at the same rate to watch how they all behave when used at the same number of times. And these, my Zeniths, have worked and broken in very quickly. If you're new to boar brushes, they do take some breaking in. The tips don't come split, but they do split over time. A few will often split right away within the first few uses, and then you'll just have them keep splitting as you go. These splay and the hairs open up to get wider. You can see some of those examples online where you've got a veteran boar brush that's just really opened up. We call that a big old bloom. We have definitely got a lot of soap, kind of high structure. Look at the jaggediness right here. If you're a new shaver, that is too dry, at least for my own preferences. And you're going to watch that texture change as we go here. I was just now reading, as I'll go ahead and add 2 teaspoons of water. You can add it as fast as you want. I figure it wouldn't be a problem if I added 2 right away, since I saw the texture here as being on the dry side. I was just looking online and reading the announcement thread for the Lather games. And what is it? June is the month. And over on Reddit, for the last several years, we've played the Lather games. And you get points for kind of following the schedule. Like each day will have a certain theme, like a leather scent or a holiday scent, or another day might be a scent by that's older than you, and so you might choose a classic or just your oldest one. There's some flexibility there. There's some interpretation of the rules because you could explain it in a certain way. I think last year one guy used William's mug every single day of the Lather games, and he would rationalize it and make an argument for it to apply that day, and that the creativity was rewarded. And as you can see, 2 teaspoons of water has changed the texture. It's not quite so jaggedy, but it's still very firm, still keeping itself up on the wall there. You can still see some of those little peaks, and so we're definitely not done. So now we've got 3.5 teaspoons in there. And I had a lot of fun last year. I played in a casual way, and I think that's the secret for me. The first couple of times I played, I really tried hard, and I sacrificed a lot of time. And then one time I got absolutely nothing. And, that's the way the contest goes. If you're not willing, that's the way contests go in general. You could work really hard and just not win, and that's okay. And so last year I played where I just enjoyed myself. I focused on the enjoyment and not trying to, get the most points all the time or be as creative as possible or, all this stuff. And so I thought, I did play as if I didn't win a thing, I would have a great time. And that is exactly what happened. I had a great time. And it did happen to be that I won a nice declaration brush. And I've used it on this channel several times since then. It's a B4, and it's terrific. You can see the lather softening up and, of course, getting more voluminous. Voluminous. Voluminous? I don't think voluminous is a word. 4 teaspoons of water in there now. Now, I've used this soap base before and been really happy with the way that it holds water. It doesn't break down. And so that water is going to, with a good soap like this one, it's going to turn into nice slickness for you. And when you have enough water, you're also not going to have dissipation of the lather, things like that. I think we've got 5 teaspoons of water in here. So it looks like maybe 20 seconds is of load time is plenty. Look how it moves, look how elastic it is. Now a bubble, do you see that kind of depression in the brush, almost like a valley? That was actually a big bubble. Here's another one kind of developing right there. Sometimes that is a good indicator to stop with the water and give it a good mix, just to make sure it's consistent. So I'm interested to see, I can't remember if I have tried the Wizamet blades with this razor. If I did try, it's possible it was one with too many uses on it to really be good. But this razor is so mild that it's been a little bit of a challenge to find a really enjoyable blade that just seems perfect with it. There we go. I think this lather looks terrific. That's a far cry from those jaggedy peaks that I showed you at the very beginning, right? And as you move your brush through the lather, that's something that can teach you about its consistency as well. How easy the brush flexes as it moves through. Pay attention to your body as you work your lather, and all those can be signals to help you know when it's got enough water in it. And then you don't even have to track with any kind of measuring device, you know. Especially, boy, if you were to keep the same soap base for a good period of time, unlike me who always switches up, it would be pretty easy to get it dialed in to where it's so natural and no measurement needed, and you just instinctively have it down pat. All right, get my face wet one more time. It has been a interesting journey with these boar brushes in my borathon. I initially started out with just maybe 6 or something. I love most boar brushes are just very inexpensive. And so it's a great type of brush to get a good collection on, to give yourself a lot of variety to play around with them. Ah, look what's happening. I'm not getting any accumulation really around my goatee. We are quite wet, and sometimes that is something you have to go back to the tub for, but since we've got plenty of lather, I had very oily skin. Probably should have washed my face, and that oil can kill the lather, so I'm pretty confident that's what's happened. And I probably have this lather right at the point where it could be too wet if you even took it farther. And so maybe me putting that water on my face didn't need to happen. You can see it's kind of sliding down my brush. Now sometimes this is exactly the lather you want. Some people go for this very lather. You can choose what you like. You can choose to go a little thicker. Oh, see, as I rinse my fingertips here, I still felt that slickness. It can be drippy and still be very slick. I've seen that so many times. The good soaps just do that. All right, so this is the 46 gap in the Wolfman WR2. And let's see how he does as a brand new blade gets put in. Moving through the hair very easily. And this is a good sign, because if it cuts well, it's not doing any kind of tugging. And we're looking at 2 days of growth. So that's a good sign. As I look for blades to really make this razor shine, I usually often go for these mild razors. Sometimes that means that I Have to find good blades for them if they're really on the mild end of the spectrum. The blade choice can make a big difference. So I actually had the Wolfman, I think I had a 70 something gap and a 60 something gap, and they in the WR1, and I still felt like, you know, could I go milder? And that was quite a hunt, because I mean, Wolfman razors are really hard to get on the used market. I believe one of the reasons I got the WR1s that I did years ago was because the WR2 got released, and people decided, hey, I'll sell my WR1 because I just bought this WR2. That's probably why I got them. You know, another reason, another something that could have caused that first pass to get a little too wet. My goatee is getting long now, and that can hold some water, and I don't remember rinsing it, clearing it out of water before putting on that pass. And that has definitely happened before, where it washed out my lather. Yeah, see, look at this. This is terrific. Feels great. I got that great leathery smell, the wood. So the notes on this one officially are cedar, leather, teakwood, amyris, patchouli, sandalwood, and dark musk. And this is really kind of a genius move, because so many of those notes are used by other soaps. You know, I think I just really enjoy the leather forwardness, the focus of the leather and the wood. In the description of the video, you'll see a bigger, more detailed write-up about what the maker was talking about in terms of maybe the story and his intention behind the scent. This seems like it's a really good combo. Very wet lather. Lesser soaps will get this wet and just kind of fall apart and start to skip on you and stuff. Let me take that back. Even good soaps can skip on you when you've added too much water. Skip meaning as you pull it across your face, you're kind of jumping a little bit. Oh, the scent's just wonderful. Nice medium strength. And let's rinse. And because I am on the verge here of having a lather that's just, it's really wet, I am just dabbing my face with my towel before I put on the lather, and that's giving it just a little bit of extra dryness where my face is not contributing any more water. And it's perfect. I bet my beard washed out that first pass. Ideal Man is another scent that I've been recently exposed to, at least in word only. I was talking with somebody about pages on the comments. Was it Ben Gaston? And he was talking about how a couple of his scents were pre-blends, meaning that he bought the scent oils and stuff that were pre-blended by another fragrance house. But then some of his are original creations. Morning Hike, I think he said, was original. Ideal Man is a dupe, pardon me, of Santal 33. And so I think I might try that one sometime. This is the third pass, and so I'm gonna, oh yeah, very comfortable. All that is left for this shave, for me to know about how it went, is just to see how close I was able to get. I have nice residual slickness here. We've done 3 passes. Very comfortable. You still can get these Wizamet blades, I believe, even though pole silvers are harder to find. And some people want to try to charge you a ton of money for them. You know, supply and demand. I get a good rinse here. That's a pretty close cut. I believe this is a better result than what I've seen in the past. And so trying my usual group of blades that kind of have 10, 15, 20 uses on them with this razor, sounds like that might be the wrong direction, because it's just so mild that makes a big difference. And so I need to, I think, make sure I try it with blades that are 1, 2, or 3 uses to get a better inkling of what this razor is going to feel like with a good blade in it. And that's just what you expect when you have that bell curve, and when you have a medium aggression razor, then a new blade or one that's been smoothed out because of uses is gonna just work well. At least that's been my experience. But when I get a razor that's to one extreme, if it's really aggressive at my maximum level of tolerance for aggression, then there are definitely some blades that are too aggressive for me, and I don't like them in that razor. And I have to find other blades that, like that Timeless Open Comb Bronze. That's right on my limit there, and I may be able to find a certain blade that is just a little smoother with that razor, and that could make it something I could use on the other side. If you're on the mild end of the spectrum, then like this razor, you might have to work from the other side to make sure you have blades that are just as edgy as they can be to take good advantage of that mildness. So that may be where I land. So 5 teaspoons for 20 seconds of loading. And I mean, this is pretty much the perfect amount of lather that I like to have at the end of my shave. Very wet and just slick. I felt tremendous freedom and ease of movement as I was zipping around. I had nice secondary slickness. And let's see, we'll go with Noble Otter Flying Hide. And I was wondering if they had the scent notes, but they don't have them printed on there. And but I think it has that, that leather, right? Maybe a little bit of wood or something. So I thought it might be kind of compatible with this Pages scent. It may have a little bit of menthol to it. So this may be kind of it's been a while since I used this. Maybe kind of an evaluation to see if it has a little bit too much for me. A little bit of the alcohol burn. Probably a couple of spots down here. And so I did, the blade is sharp enough to kind of generate a little bit of that. A little bit of a couple of spots that maybe things cut a little too closely, but I don't really see too much redness. The alcohol itself can actually generate a little bit of redness here. Face feels terrific. The burn's gone already. Flying Hide, very nice. I really enjoyed the scent of the Pages as I was working. So glad that that I was able to get that soap. Man, was that a gift from someone? Did we do a trade? What, man, I'm gonna have to look and see. I can't remember my notes. I think that might have been just a wonderful, generous gift from somebody. And I really, really enjoy it. Very interesting, manly, distinctively manly with those wood and leather scents. Sometimes when wood gets added, it really just smells like lumber to me, and it's not a rich type of wood like oak or mahogany that has kind of a characteristic, rich kind of smell to it. And this one's different, and the sandalwood that's in there as well all contribute to the leather seems forward at the most dominant part of the scent, and then the woods just back it up wonderfully, giving it some depth and even more character. Excellent, excellent. Now this Zenith brush has some built-in flair to it, coming right out of the knot there. They've obviously anchored some of the bristles in a conical kind of shape, and that does make it easier to break in because you've got some built-in room between the bristles there. And as it dries, more and more of these guys will open up, and more we'll see some split tips. It's already enjoyable, it's already comfortable, does a great job, and it will get even softer as these tips continue to split. Some really good grade boar bristles are used in these Zenith brushes. I might definitely consider this guy as a candidate to move to a different handle. Just terrific bristles here. And this one was one that did not take very much break-in time. I think maybe in 3 uses. And I may have soaked it maybe for an hour before each of those 3 shaves. And it was ready to go at that point. Obviously, we've got a long ways to go before the tips split. And some guys online will not say it's broken in until the tips have fully split. And so they might say, oh, it takes a long time to break in. That's said of Semogue brushes a lot. But I talked with one guy about that, and he said that that's what he was talking about with the splitting of the tips. But he also agreed that it gets comfortable and enjoyable to use way before that. And so that's an important distinction as you're talking to other people about boar brushes in the break-in period. All right, guys. Yeah, the flying hide, smelling great. And the pages worked wonderfully together. Very happy with that. The brush, very enjoyable. It's not, right now, it's not as soft as some of those really soft badgers, but that's normal because it's still young. I think we're looking at 25 uses, something like that with this one. So it's a very young brush, very young. It's important to soak boar brushes before you use them. I go for at least 3 minutes. I try to do 10 if I can, but usually it's whatever time that I am working up my gear, getting all my gear ready is what I end up soaking it for. And this soap is settling down. The pages soap into something kind of earthy, and maybe the patchouli is part of that. Maybe the musk. Those base notes are usually what sticks around for a little bit longer. The higher notes like the cedar and the leather might tend to evaporate and move on. That's just the way scents work. And yeah, it's very, and I think that earthiness grounds it really well. I've been enjoying smelling the tub here afterwards, and I notice the leather isn't as strong right now, and that's because also because of the flying hide that I put on. That affects my perception as well. But I'm able to enjoy kind of a different picture of it because of that. All right, guys, that was great. The comfort of the shave was just terrific all the way through, and that blade and razor, even though mild, did breeze through 2 days of growth like it was nothing. And that speaks so often is how it works for me. I don't think I have excessively coarse hair, or it's not super dense, but it's also not sparse, and it's also not a fine hair that's easy to cut. And most blades on the second day there, a lot of them in certain razors will give me just a little bit of a kind of a tugging sensation because of the extra length of hair. And this one just didn't have a problem with that at all, partially because of the extra keenness of the blade and that good clamping that the razor has right up to the edge of that blade. And so that's going to keep it secure and consistent. And so it just didn't even seem like I was shaving on 2 days of growth. So that's nice. I do have a few hairs here that were left with a little bit of length on them. I don't go against the grain. If you do, I'm sure that you would end up with a nice baby butt smooth shave with this same setup. I don't think I have any irritation. I don't have any tenderness that I'm feeling. Maybe like one little spot, and right here maybe, and that's near where I don't need to shave, and so sometimes that gets a little bit of irritation. I may have allowed my skin to be a little loose right there when I maybe did a stroke or something like that. All right, guys, there we go. I sure hope there's been something in this video to help you out somehow. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. All the best to you. Think about joining the Lather games on Reddit. It's the wet shaving subreddit over there. And if you only, you get points for what you do. And so even if you only participate in half of the themes, then you get those points. And also there are daily threads where you post about what happened, and you can read what other people are posting. And so many times it's just hilarious. So there's that community aspect of it too. It's very much a community focused contest where it's just enjoyable to be around and talk with the other people, look at the shenanigans, that sort of thing. If you want to try to compete but you don't have very many soaps, there's a trading thread where you could try to get sample smushes from other users. You can make yourself available, like here are the soaps that I have. I can give you a smush, you know, and then you can then perhaps find smushes from other folks. So I sure have enjoyed it last year. I don't know in what capacity I'll play again this time. Maybe just the same thing, just a casual player. Do my usual thing where I do videos and I try to write up a good write-up that's informative and helpful. I don't know if one guy last year, he played as two characters and he signed up this other guy and kind of had a double persona going on, and then had this big reveal at the end of the contest. And tremendous, right? Excellent. That was Cosmo Barber, a fellow YouTuber as well. He's put out some YouTube videos. He's got a good one on precision shaving, which is kind of similar to some of the types of shaving that I do as well. So check that one out. Cosmo Barber, or does he go by Cosmo Barber over there? Precision shaving. I think he may go by something a little different, but he might. I bet that could find it on YouTube if you wanted to search. All right, guys. And hey, our friend HD Shaves is a judge this year, so that'll be cool. I enjoy his channel, and we've often had communications back and forth and things like that. So he's definitely going to be involved this year with a lot of the work of judging. Hundreds of posts they have to read every day to do good judging. All right, now, you guys take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.